Hello and welcome. Today I'd like to share with you my experiment with waffle weave. I did some waffle weave on an 8-shaft loom years ago. I did not care for the results. However, a friend of mine started doing some waffle weave and I thought, let me try it again. And I did have an empty 4-shaft loom. So that's what I did. I threaded the loom with all different colors in the warp, and I had some very interesting results, and I'm going to share those with you. Let's take a look at some of the results. I don't normally do this, but we'll look at the results first. This is the side that I could see when I was weaving. These are some of the colors that are in the weft, or in the warp. So I picked them to weave in the weft, and then when I turned it over to see the other side, it looked quite different. I then decided to do black, a whole towel in black, and then on the other side, it looks like this. And I didn't use this one in the warp, but I decided to try weaving with the white because I really wanted to see the contrast. So here's one side and here's the other. Now, waffle weave is exactly what it says. It looks like little waffles. I also found out that there were many different ways to tie up your loom. The threading is basically the same, but the tie-up was a little different. The other thing that you need to do is you need to set your warp a lot tighter than you normally would. Otherwise, you have very big floats and it just doesn't work quite as well. So I listened to the directions that I found and did a lot of different sizes and different samplings and so on. So I'm going to share that with you. We're going to go to the loom. I'll show you what it looks like on the loom and then afterwards. I hope this will inspire you to give waffle weave a try. We're going to first start with looking at the threading. And the threading here we have, it's a point twill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, and so on. And again, this is a 4-shaft loom. I discovered if I start with 3, I don't necessarily need a floating selvage. Well, in most of this part of this waffle weave, there's one of them, there's a little bit more of a skip than other ones, but it's okay with me. Now you also notice that you have a lot of floats that are over 5 threads. This is the basic tie-up that I found, that you have 1 and then 2 and then 1 and 3. 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then you also have 3, 2, and 4. I've seen these arranged in different order, but I picked this arrangement. So you have a couple of options. You can treadle all 6. Now when you treadle all 6, if you notice, you have a little bit of a thread weft that goes over that particular warp thread. And you have a longer triangle, but you still have the opening on both sides, or I say the opening, the edge of the little box you're making. You have kind of a tabby in the middle and a little box around it. Then, if we just treadle 5 of them with the white there, this box in the middle becomes a little bit smaller. You still have a float over 5. It's kind of hard to see here. I did all these different colors. So you have the yellow, the blue, and then the yellow, and then the black over here, but the white is on the top and the bottom. Then you can also just do 4, and that was another pattern that I found. Sometimes there was a different arrangement up here. These are the ones that I happened to pick, and it's kind of hard to see on here because it's all blue, but you have just 3 areas that are basically a tabby in the middle, and they all give you a little different effect. So I just want to share with you, that's what it looks like on the threading. If you take a look at my loom, I have a lot of colors in here. I was trying to use up some thread that I had, and I was going to do a random warp, but this time I didn't do it random. I have stripes, and if I wove just the plain weave, you just have the stripes on here. That's the other nice thing about this structure. It's a point twill. You could do other kinds of patterns as well, and I'm going to share that with you in a moment in one of the samples that I finished. Well, let's take a look at what I've already done. This was woven with a olive green, which is one of the colors. It's kind of the olive green that's in there. Just a tabby, so you can see you could get some stripes. Then I wove just a little bit of a beginning of the olive with the one treadling. Then I did some of with the gold, which is in the warp. This is the all 6 treadles that I shared with you. I want to show you how much it shrinks. This is what it looks like on the loom. And I'd like you to focus on this section here. Maybe we'll fold the other out of the way so we won't really look at all of those at the moment. Well, it's kind of hard to get them out of the way. I'd like you to see how the difference. This basically blossomed. Obviously, this was yarn that was commercial and it wasn't washed before. And you can see how much it shrunk and how different it is. And I showed you on one of the other, at the beginning, that it looks different. So this is the side you see. And then when you flip it over, this is what's on the other side. Their floats seem a little bit longer. And then you see a little bit of a, almost a tabby in there. And that's the reverse side of this particular pattern. Now, when I also did, I'm going to do some weaving. I'll show you what it looks like. This, I believe, was the 5. And, oh, no, this was the 5. And this was the 4 treadles. And you are doing back and forth, basically a point twill. You're following the draft on that. The other nice thing about this is that you can also do, this was a straight, just going back and forth twill. And then I did what we call a point. I treadled it just straight back and forth without doing, I think that, yeah, this one was a straight twill with 1, 2, 2, 4. I had to change the tie up. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, and 1, 4. So I did go underneath and I changed the tie up to get this, and I also changed it for this as well. And just wanted to let you know that if you want to do some other things other than just the waffle weave, you can change your tie up and maybe look in different patterns and come up with some other ideas. But again, now I'm going to show you basically what happens. We'll do a little weaving. All right, we're going to start with 6 treadles. And if you notice right away with the first one, it floats. It's only lifting up the one shaft. Now this time we're lifting up another one, but remember we're doing a point twill, so we're doing a couple at a time. This time it's one of the every other one. It's the tabby. Now we're lifting 3 shafts. We're lifting 2. And now we're lifting 3 again. But we're going to go back the other direction. And we're back at the beginning again. I'm going to go back and forth one more time. And that was with the 6. Let's see what happens when we do the 5. I already did the first one. Now I'm going to go back. We're going to stop here at 5 and go back the other direction. So we're making a smaller rectangle. Basically the center is a little bit smaller. Let's go back and do that again. Might be hard to see. Again. And now we're going to do even the smaller one, just 4. So I did the 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we go back again. Let's do another one. Whoops, we got that one underneath where we didn't want that to be. This is where you get to see what happens when a weaver gets things stuck. Notice I'm lifting all of these up to get those out of the way. And what happened, I was just a little too quick on that. Let's see if I got it out of there. I did. All right, so I'm going to go back here to make sure I'm on, yep, there we are on that one. Now I'm going to lift this one up, and basically what's happening right now is I'm almost too close to the reed. So I really should be advancing. It's another good lesson for you in your weaving experience. So our last one was this one, and I'm going back to see where I left off. So I'm on 3, now I'm on 4, and I'm going to go back again to 3, 2, and 1, and you might see that there's a dog, part of a dog in the picture. That's Maggie. Maggie wants me to throw something, a ball that she put in the pocket of my bench. So now we're back to that. So let me just share with you, we can find the right squares here. So let's see. This one is what this will look like when it's finished, the smaller ones. And this, let me open it up this way, might be easier to see. This will be the next set down that I just did, these 3 rows, that's that one. And it's a little bit more of a float. As you remember, up here I had a thread that actually caught in the middle of that one. And again, just for fun, let's see what the other side looks like. Now what's happening over there, whatever color that the float was at the bottom, like if I lifted 3 of the shafts up, what was happening, the color on the other side is showing up on there, on that one, and this is over here. So I always think it's fascinating. Of course, I'm trying something with all kinds of colors. A lot of times people will just use one color. Like I said, this is so much fun to do. This is my sample here, and well, I don't know if I can. Let me see if I can show you. I'm going to release this a little bit, and we can actually see what this looks like before I take it off the loom. I'm going to loosen some things here so we can move it around here. A little bit more. Oh, keep getting it in the break there. There we go. If I wanted to show you the other side, we can just barely see. I can't really move it up much farther, but you can see that the floats are happening there, and after it's washed, it feels so soft, so much softer. You can actually feel that it's probably going to be much more absorbent. And the other fun thing too is if you do a lot of colors in your warp like I did here, kind of see a little close-up of what we're doing, all different things can happen, and you can decide which color do I really want to use. After you finish doing a sample, take it off, wash it. Let's see how much it shrunk. Now it shrunk down. I'm going to put it over here. Look how much. Now it started in the reed to be about 20 inches wide. This is 6.5 cotton. I set it at 24 ends per inch. So it shrunk in this direction, almost 20%, and I believe it did the same thing the other direction as well. So you do need to plan ahead for shrinkage. I think that's one of the things I was disappointed in when I did it years ago. There was so much shrinkage and I did not set it tighter than you think you should. If you're using even 8-2 yarn, I believe they also suggest 24. You can maybe even go tighter. But again, I like to have that nice soft feel when I'm finished. Again, another fun experiment. Enjoy if you want to.